Hello. Today I'd like to talk about this particular book. It's called The Repertory of the Homeopathic Materia Medica by J.T.Kent. It's not really a reading book. It's more like a reference book. Very useful for us homeopaths, where we go through symptoms of a patient and then try to find those symptoms. Let me just give you a close-up of what it looks like from inside. We find those symptoms here, for example, anxiety, and this is a huge section in the repertory, in the mind section. And we look at the specifics of the anxiety, what it is that's bothering the patient, at what time it comes on, and therein are listed remedies that will be most useful for that symptom. So let us begin with a little introduction of Dr. James Tyler Kent. Indeed, this is his magnum opus, and for this he is best known. So who is James Tyler Kent? James Tyler Kent was a professor of Materia Medica in the Hahnemann Medical College in Chicago, Illinois in the 1800s. He was a doctor because he was educated in medicine, and he was also an author, most famously known for his Repertory, which we call very, very fondly known as Kent's Repertory, as well as homeopathic philosophy and lectures on the Materia Medica. He graduated from a place called the Eclectic Medical Institute in Cincinnati, Ohio, and then proceeded. At that time, he was in St. Louis, and he took up a post as a physician in the eclectic schools and writing for eclectic journals. Though he was educated in homeopathy, he happened upon it in earnest when his wife became seriously ill. And in this instance, none of the eclectic medicines or allopathic medicines helped. So he resorted to homeopathy. This was his first bout with homeopathy and caused him to revert completely to this particular system of medicine. He went on to carefully study Hahnemann's Organon, and thereafter he resigned from his eclectic medical school and took up the chairmanship of anatomy at the Homeopathic Medical College of Missouri in 1881. And for 3 years he taught in this position and went on to become the professor of Materia Medica for about 5 years, from 1883 to 1888. He then took up positions as a dean and professor at various prestigious homeopathic education institutions in Chicago and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, such as the Herring Medical College and the Hahnemann Medical College. And he also became a member of a variety of homeopathic societies in the US and the UK. So today, because I'm going to be talking about his Repertory. By the way, this Repertory has been printed by B. Jane Publishers, very well-known publishers of homeopathic books in India. They're based in India, but it's fair to say that they're the largest publishers of homeopathic books in the world. So this particular edition comes from India. This is the one from which I was taught by my father to look up remedies, to look up symptoms, and we'll just go through it now. So it comes with a life sketch of Tyler Kent and some publisher's notes. In this preface, this is written by James Tyler Kent, and here he talked about the objectives and aims and the subject of a Repertory. As you can see, it's more of a reference book rather than a reading book. and we're just going to go through some of its layout. So basically, a homeopathic repertory is a compilation of symptoms that are recorded in the Materia Medica and then organized here, set out in this sort of repertory. There's many kinds of repertory, and people get used to one or two kinds, and that's totally fair. But it's a good idea to go through a variety of repertories to get a sense of what's where, and sometimes you need to verify the strength of a remedy in a particular symptom, so you can cross-check in the repertories. I want to just go through the contents page right at the beginning. Well, yeah, so here is a contents page, and as you can see, this is very interesting to me because the contents page is laid out alphabetically from A to V, no Z here, and it goes, though it is set out alphabetically in the contents page, if you go to the first part of the repertory, it begins with the mind section. So it's not, the book itself, the reference book itself is not organized alphabetically. And if I just tilt it to the left here a little bit, you can see the different sections of the repertory as you tend to get in old-fashioned reference books. So it begins with the mind section. Yeah. And then it goes from the mind, it goes, see, I'm trying to show you from here, this way. Then it goes, let me just move this aside. So then it goes in order as body parts and as body functions. So from the mind, vertigo, head, eye, vision, ear, hearing, nose, face, mouth, teeth, throat, stomach, abdomen, rectum, stool, urine, genitalia, larynx, respiration, cough, expectorants, chest, back, extremities, which are our shoulders and arms and legs and fingers and toes, sleep, chill, whether somebody is cold or warm, fever. This is an entire section in the repertory. It's a very important symptom, especially in acute situations. Perspiration, skin, and then generals, which is also known as clinical section, as a clinical section in other repertories. So normally each section begins with a general symptom. For example, if we just go to the head section, and we take up one general rubric in the head section. So that, for example, that could be pain. And you will have a list of all the remedies that will help with a headache, pain in the head. So this is called a rubric, and then you'll have remedies that address the symptom, followed by particulars. Now, what are those particulars? So they could be, for example, if the breakfast is delayed, somebody's going to come down with a headache, or a headache that increases or decreases with the sun. And then you'll have the time that it occurs. For example, when does the headache come on? Does it come on in the morning, or does it come in early daytime, in the afternoon, and so on and so forth. So if we go in and just choose one particular time of day, for instance, we can talk about the headache coming on in the night. So just in the night time, you can see again before midnight or after midnight, and then the different time specifications or time of occurrence that the headache comes on, and then it goes even more specific. So for example, in the night, does it come on from cold air? Does it come on from draft of cold air? And so on and so forth. And what makes it better? What makes it worse? For example, if you apply something cold to the head, it tends to alleviate the headache for a little while. And then we have the sensation of a headache. So these really help. For example, if somebody has a hammering headache, you can come and look at this rubric and see which other symptoms match that patient in particular, and select a remedy for him from here. Or then we have headaches from jarring, or headaches on becoming heated. So you can narrow down via these rubrics, just based on the sensation of the headache. It could be a stabbing headache, it could be a pinching headache, it could be worse in the sun, it could be worse in the morning upon waking, and so on and so forth. Finally, we'll see extensions of a symptom. For example, whence the symptom began and where it moves to. For example, did it start on the right side of the head and then moved across the forehead to the left area of the head? So homeopathic practitioners tend to work out the case from generals to particulars, especially because the general rubric will include all the remedies related to the symptom. For example, as we did headache, pain in the headache, or headache in general, related to the symptom, and then you'll find all the remedies listed here related to that headache, and then you move on to particular symptoms and rubrics, and they will have a smaller group of remedies. Also discussed right at the beginning, so this is a preface, and here he talks about how he has laid out the repertory, written by J.T.Kent. This is the contents page, and here you have remedies and their abbreviations. For example, aconite, or aloe, or ethusa, anacardium. So these will be the abbreviations of those remedies. Instead of using the entire long name of the remedy, they just abbreviated here to take up less space. And as you study more and more of these rubrics, you become more familiar with the names, the full names of the symptoms. For example, here's anacardium, here's alumina, this is arginate, and so on and so forth. Another useful feature of this particular edition of the book is a variety of articles on the use of the repertory, how to study the repertory, and again, how to use the repertory. So most of them tend to have similar topics of discussion, but it's a good idea to go through them because they lay out the methods you can use to take out the most relevant remedy from the repertory. Here's another one called Repertorizing by Margaret Tyler and John Weir. Here they talk about the grading of symptoms and which ones to select, and how to do that. Eliminating the symptoms if through cross-referencing or any other method you want to employ. And then this is a really famous article by Dr. Gibson Miller, where he talks about hot and cold remedies. So he has them listed, but here he's got cases. This is really, really fine print, so some of us might just need magnifying glass to get through it, or perhaps reading glasses. And then he's got a variety of cases that he's talked about that we can go through. And then this is the repertory itself: nose, abdomen, back, extremities, perspiration, which is a discharge of the body, and then the general section with time modalities, sluggishness, stretching, what happens to a patient when they stretch. And then we come to the end of the repertory, and then here's another useful feature: relationship of remedies and the sides of the body. This is a very famous discussion by Robert Gibson Miller again. He was a doctor in Glasgow, Scotland, and lived there between 1862 and 1919. He was a renowned homeopath of his time, greatly admired and revered. He was an enthusiastic, He was an enthusiastic proponent or advocate of homeopathy, and he supported a variety of schemes to promote the practice of homeopathy, and he was able to convert a good number of doctors and students, medical students, to homeopathy. Of course, he was a student of Kent. Then in this area, in this section, it's relationship of remedies with the duration of action. So how long a remedy tends to work for. For example, Fossack will tend to work for 40 days. So it'll have that lasting effect for 40 days. Again, here we have how remedies are related to each other and duration of action, just like here. And he goes through a whole range of remedies and how they tend to be related to each other. Now, this is very popular with my mum. The size of the body and drug affinities. So this tells us where the remedy is most likely to be effective. Now, it's not necessary. Sometimes remedies do tend to work for other sides, but generally, if you follow this rule, you're likely to hit the nail on the head with a remedy addressing a particular symptom. So, in the abdomen, which remedies tend to be right-sided and which remedies tend to be left-sided. Same for chest, neck, and nape of the neck. Febrile symptoms, or rather fever, symptoms related to fever. And then drug affinities, how remedies, again, act with other remedies, and how to use one remedy after another remedy. So we can learn those useful tricks from this particular section. And then this is the index at the end. So if you're looking for something to do with air or anxiety again, arms, upper arms, posterior part of the upper arms, you'll find those relevant sections on these pages. This is a very lengthy word index. I hope you found this video useful. This is for any student of homeopathy who doesn't already own this book and would like just a brief tour of the book, what it looks like and how useful and helpful it might be. So yeah, for many students of homeopathy or currently practitioners, this was their first repertory, and this is where they learnt a lot of homeopathy from before the essential synthesis came along, and now we have, of course, the Murphy's Repertory, which is very widely used and is very user friendly. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Many thanks. Bye.